sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports here live for a special preview with my man SEC Sean, who is a huge Texas A&M Aggies fan. We are doing the 2026 football preview with my man SEC Sean. We are geeked about this. You got a Longhorn and an Aggie on the same screen together, getting ready to talk about this Aggies preview. SEC Sean, how are you feeling this evening?
Man, we're right here, Rob. We're right here to the season, man. And anytime I can get on here and especially talk about Texas A&M, I'm always excited for it. I love this preview. I just think it's a good way to get the season going for all the teams that we're going to wind up doing these previews for. So really looking forward to this. Got a lot of good stuff to talk about. Got some good questions from the group. So I'm ready to jump into it, and let's start breaking this thing down.
Yeah, before we get into it, anybody that's out there that is watching from WTP Sports Dudes, WTP for Life, that YouTube channel, if you want to drop a super chat in there, you can drop it from that channel. Also, let's give a shout out to our sponsor who is sponsoring this show, KT's Good Eats LLC. The food truck got banging food, banging mac, wings, egg rolls, you name it, they got it. All the good comfort foods that you would ever want. Go check them out at Witten's Farm or wherever their location may be. Our man Mossberg is one of the people who work on that truck as well, and you see him on our podcast. So make sure you go and support our sponsor. Thank you, KT's Good Eats LLC. SEC Sean, we are that close. We're going to get some college football this weekend. A game with TCU and whoever they play, they're going overseas and play over there in Ireland. I'm looking forward to that. But tonight, we got your preview with your Texas A&M Aggies. I'm going to pick up a question later on in the show for everybody to answer, but we're going to do that a little bit later on. But I'm telling you now, I hope that we get a lot of people that vote on that poll that we put up. SEC Sean, first question we got on you for you from the chat. What's your assessment of Mike Elko and the staff going into his third season at Texas A&M?
My assessment is A&M made the right decision here. When they decided to cut ties with Jimbo, everybody that's an Aggie fan can remember the Mark Stoops era that lasted for about 35 seconds. And all hell broke loose with Aggie fans, went nuts. And then Mike Elko came back, former defensive coordinator from Notre Dame, also former DC from A&M. So he had familiarity with how A&M does things. Everybody, we've been called a cult. We've been called a bunch of different things. But you look at Mike Elko, his record at A&M is 19-7 going into his third season. Pretty good when you take over a program that pretty much had to rebuild the whole roster in the first year. Of course, we know what we did last year. Stumbled down the stretch, but good run. Like his coaches, there's a couple of questions here, and one is Holman Wiggins and Lyle Hemphill. Holman Wiggins, terrific, one of the best wide receiver coaches there is. I mean, was at Bama with Saban, had all those receivers over there. Y'all see them in the NFL now. He's great. This is his first year calling plays. I have confidence in him because I think I have confidence in Mike Elko to make the right hire. Lyle Hemphill, good defensive coordinator, but again, I've said it all along. I think that's more of a title because we all know Mike Elko is on top of this defense. We know that. That's his calling card. Lyle Hemphill does have some stuff he brings, but this is a Mike Elko defense. Let's just be real. So, like him, though, the biggest thing I'll say is down in the bottom right corner of this graphic. Elijah Robinson coming back to Texas A&M was huge. What an amazing defensive line coach. Man, he took over the interim role when Fisher was fired till the end of the season. He got interviewed but didn't get the position, obviously, and left to go to Syracuse, and now he's coming back. And man, that place went nuts when they found out he was coming back. They love this guy. I love Elijah Robinson, and I love Trooper Taylor, our running back coach. If you listen to our running backs talk, they always talk about their love and respect for Trooper Taylor. So I love this staff. I like what Elko's done. There are some questions. Let's not be, you got a first-time play caller and really a first-time DC. So we're going to see how it plays out. But I think Wiggins' offense is going to be something a little more dynamic than what we saw under Colin Klein. I think he might not be afraid to let Marcel get out and use those legs, which we all know can be a huge weapon for him. So I love what Elko's done, what he's built. I love the biggest thing is the culture he shaped. Jimbo was flash. Elko is foundation. And you can see it in the difference in this team. An A&M team last year goes on the road to Notre Dame and gets beat by 30 under Fisher. An A&M team under Jimbo Fisher goes down and pulls off the upset, if you want to call it that. But that doesn't happen under Jimbo Fisher. So I like what Elko's building. I like the culture, and I like the way he's handling things. So, yeah, I'm ecstatic for Elko.
Do you think Wiggins is better suited for Marcel Reed than Colin Klein?
Yes, to an extent. I think Colin Klein was what Marcel needed last year as his first year as a quarterback with the pocket presence. Here's the difference. Marcel Reed has never had a quarterback coach alone. Colin Klein was the quarterback coach / OC. So, hey, Marcel, I'm working with you, but I got to go check on these receivers real quick. I'll be back. Well, now he has a quarterback coach. So I think that's going to be a big uptick. But I have no doubt. I do think Holman Wiggins is a much better – I don't want to say much better because Colin Klein did some good things, but I think he's going to rely on the athleticism that Marcel can bring more than Klein did. If that's fair to say.
Yeah, well, we got a whole lot of questions that are rolling in the chat. We got a question from Postgame of the Postgame Sports Podcast. Is Texas A&M success all on Marcel Reed this season?
No. He's the quarterback, so a lot is on his shoulders. Let's put that out there. We all know that. But there's still questions here. Offensive line, running back room, things like that. It's not all on his shoulders, but I'm going to say probably 60% of it's on his shoulders. He can only do so much anyway. If the offensive line is terrible, we saw what happens there when an offensive line isn't good. Your quarterback is bad. The running backs can't run. So, but I'm going to say 60%. We need second half South Carolina and whole game, pretty much Marcel Reed from Notre Dame. And in the second half against South Carolina, we don't need first half Marcel Reed or Texas Marcel Reed or Miami Marcel Reed. But if he improves that, then this team's going to be just as good as they were last year. If he takes the next step, as you always hear him say, first-year starter, where's the next step? And if he takes that step, then A&M will be really good. But there's a lot on his shoulders. But I think he's got the mentality and the character to handle that and understand that.
I really feel like Marcel Reed took a huge step from the year when he started playing quarterback, wasn't originally the starter at the beginning of the season, that first season into last season being the full-time starter, I think he made some really, really huge leaps. Do you think he's going to make those same kind of leaps going into his second year as a full-time starter?
I'm not going to predict the same leap because that was a huge leap he took from the year before to last year. But I'll say if he gets, just a little bit better at making the right decision and not trying to force something, then I think it's going to be where he needs to be. I don't expect that huge jump that he took literally from the year you were talking about when he was the backup to Connor Wegman and took over when Wegman got hurt. You're not going to see the jump from that Marcel Reed to last year's Marcel Reed, but I think you're going to see a jump forward, and that's really what you want to see. It doesn't have to be huge. Just give me a little bit and make better decisions. And I think having a full-time quarterback coach, that's going to help him make those better decisions.
Yeah. We got another question.
And let me say this real quick because you've mentioned this. Well, you've mentioned this. Let me say this real quick. You mentioned this about Marcel, too, a couple times we've talked about him. When he double pumped last year, he always threw high. He wasn't trusting what he was seeing. So if he trusts what he sees this year, I think you're going to see a lot of that get better.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. We got another question from Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10. Thanks for your question. How's the offensive line, the big uglies, looking in fall camp?
Good. I like what I'm hearing coming out of fall camp. I'm not sold yet on pass pro, but everything I'm hearing is when it comes to the running game, these guys are moving people, and I mean moving them out of the way. So that's a real good sign because A&M's going to want to run the ball first, more than likely. That's a lot of college teams want to establish the run first. A lot of college teams not named like Hawaii, but I digress. So, or Oklahoma State, but everything I'm hearing is they look good. There's some questions on who's going to start. You've got Wilkin, Formby, and I forget the other kid's name. Let me bring up their depth chart real quick. So you've got Tyree Adams and Wilkin Formby are pretty much going to be your tackles from what I'm hearing coming out of camp. Mark Naboo, the long returning starter, he's going to be the center, of course. But the guards is where it's getting interesting. Cohen Eccles came over from LSU. Travon Ball came from South Carolina. But I'm hearing what the projections are showing is that Blake Ivy has passed Cohen Eccles as the left guard. And then if you look under Tyree Adams, you'll see Lamont Rogers, who was a highly, highly rated prospect coming in. So there's some questions still as to who's going to start. But from what I'm hearing, no matter who out of those group you see, they can push the defensive line out of the way to run the ball. And if you remember last year, A&M doesn't play 5 linemen. A&M rotates their offensive linemen in and out of games. Last year, they were using 2 centers throughout the game. They'd start with one and go to another one. So I like Adam Cushing. I love him as an offensive line coach. Think he's phenomenal. How well can they gel is the question, but everything I'm hearing from the defensive line guys, from the running backs, is these guys are getting it together and they've got on point. I do need to see pass pro. I need to see their pass protection first, but run game, I'm starting to have no worries about.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the fact that y'all have a rotation that y'all use there at Texas A&M, at least the offensive line and the offensive coordinators and coaches. They rotate their offensive linemen. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to ask, is it a whole 10 guys that they rotate in there, or do you maybe have 7 or 8 guys and they can just mix and match and they can play different positions?
Well, we'll justify this with we're going to go straight healthy. We're not going to call injuries into this because injuries obviously expand your depth. But they're going to rotate, and from what I can hear, you're looking at about a 7-man rotation. But the difference is it's not just the 2 guards coming out and 2 more guards coming in. The left tackle might come out, and the guard shifts the tackle, and a guard comes in. You know, they move them around. They've got 2 or 3 guys that can play center on the line, so they're learning every position when they're there. That's what Adam Cushing likes to do. He wants you to be flexible, because if you're just a left tackle or right tackle, then that's all you are. But when you get to the next level, you might be asked to play guard, and you don't know how to play guard. So he wants you to be able to do it all. And so, yeah, I would expect, not counting the Missouri State game, because I think you're going to see a lot of guys play in that game. But once you get into like the Arizona States and Kentuckys, I would see you're probably going to get to a 7-man, 6 to 7-man rotation. You're probably going to start the season off with like an 8 or 9, but then they're going to settle on that 6 or 7.
Cool. We also got a question from our man Parlay Poe of the Blitzburg podcast, and thanks for joining the show, Parlay Poe. His question is, tell us about the running back room and the depth there.
This is a big question mark going into the season. We've got Reuben Owens, 5-star prospect, number 1 running back in his high school class. Great, blah, 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 blah. Hasn't lived up to it at all. Had Le'Veon Moss in front of him, so hasn't been fully healthy. Had a lot of little nagging injuries too. And Reuben Owens has one major downfall. The yard markers on the field, the lines, seem to trip him about 3 times a game. And I love Reuben Owens. El Campo High School, I love Reuben Owens. But he even mentioned it in his fall press conference. He said, I've got to stop stumbling. He said, I might have had a 1,000-yard season if I don't stumble. And it's possible. When you look, he can break some runs. Now, not the biggest guy, but has proven he can run between the tackles. We know if he gets to the edge, he can cut it and he can go. He's got the speed to house it. So really, really excited to see what Reuben Owens can bring. Jamarian Morrow, another super athletic, just 5'9", 200-pound, can be a little bit of a thumper, but got the speed. This kid was a wide receiver / quarterback / running back / safety in high school. So he did a little bit of everything in high school. And he is he's your number 2 back. But from fall camp talks, it's 1A and 1B. If you ask everybody out there, he could supplant Owens as the starter. I don't see it, but he could. Of course, you got KJ Edwards. You followed his recruitment a little bit, I know, because of Texas and him being from Carthage. This kid is going to be dynamic. He doesn't remind me of a running back. I'm going to say there have been some people comp him to Jahmyr Gibbs. And I could see it, but I'm not going to do that to a kid that's fresh out of high school versus, an all-pro running back in the NFL. So, but he's got the stat. He's got the size. He's a little bit taller, but he's fast. He's got great hands. Again, at a fall camp, I keep hearing he's learning. He's wanting to learn. He's trying to be a sponge and just get it all. And that's what you need, because A&M is going to be, you've seen it over the past few years, they're going to run the ball by committee. They're not going to have one back's not going to get 30 carries a game. They're going to split that amongst 3 or 4 backs. You've got those 3 are probably your main 3. And then you've got Carson Baker. I think Carson Baker and Tiger Ryden, who can be a thumper. Tiger's a little thick. So he can get you, much like what you saw E.J. Smith do last year, kind of come in on those short yardage and just be that power back. I like the depth. I don't know that we have a superstar back there, but I think we have, as far as the whole room, a really good stable of running backs that last year when Moss went down, you could see the running backs took a step back. You saw it. I don't think you see that this year if an Owens goes down or a Morrow goes down. I don't think you're going to see the drop-off be as significant.
Is one of those running backs that you mentioned, are they going to be better suited on third down than others?
All of them. They can all catch the ball, though. If you're talking third and long, where you're going to maybe flex the running back out, any of them. We've seen Owens go down. Morrow would probably be my best bet on the outside because he had played receiver before in high school. But if you're talking third down and short and you need a power run, I'd look for Baker or Tiger Reardon to probably get the lean there.
Let's look at this other question from Parlay Poll real quick, and let me get your thoughts on it. He's saying, is A&M underachieving, having a lot of money in the NIL era and not making it to the championship? Do you think they're underachieving?
I'm not going to say yet. Under the Jimbo Fisher era, yes, by God, they underachieved. We all remember, number one recruiting class. Well, that went 5-7, so let's go ahead and stop that. They did underachieve in that aspect. I'm not going to say they're underachieving right now because Elko's going into his third year. Let's see what happens this year, next year, year after. It's a great question, Parlay Poe, and it's a really good question. But I'd like to pause on that for a couple years just to see what happens with the culture change and the recruits Elko's bringing in on his own and see how it goes because they have all the money in the world. We all know this. They're one of the programs that can spend with the big boys. But I'm not going to say they're underachieving yet. I think we overachieved a little bit last year. And I want to see where we go right now. But it's a good question, and it's very, reasonable to ask that. But I need a couple more years of Elko before I can say it's underachieving. Now, if we go 8-4, I'll be the first one screaming that we're underachieving.
Yeah, I feel you. We got a question from our man One Take Zaya of the One Take Zaya podcast. What's your level of confidence with the pass catchers, wide receivers, and tight ends?
Tight ends will start there first. I like our tight end room. I like Houston Thomas, the transfer from UTSA. I love the fact that for the first time ever, Micah Riley can use both arms. He hasn't really been able to lift his left arm above this for 3 years. And he finally had the surgery done. So now he can. He was blocking people with one arm last year. I've seen him in spring making some amazing catches. Looks really good. Big-bodied tight end. Catches the ball. Is going to be hard to bring down. I like Houston Thomas's receiving ability. I need to find out what our blocking tight ends are looking like. I haven't heard a whole lot on them, which is probably a good thing. But that would be the only concern I have is do we have that blocking tight end that can just seal an edge when you need that extra yard or come in motion and block a linebacker coming up the middle, So I need to see how we do there. But I'm confident in the tight end ring. Wide receivers, I'm ecstatic for. I think this might be one of, if not the best wide receiver room in the SEC from top to bottom. You start with Omario Craver. We all know what he can do. We saw what Isaiah Horton can do, big-bodied receiver that A&M did not have last year. Big 6'3", go up and get it, contested catches, red zone target, which would have helped against Miami. Ashton Bethel Roman, I've mentioned him a few times to you myself. He is my breakout player for A&M on the offensive side of the ball. I expect that dude to explode. He is blazing fast. Has to stay healthy. He gets a little nicked up throughout the season, but he's put on some weight, so let's see what happens there. But he's blazing speed. Then you've got the wild card in Terry Bussey, the Swiss Army knife, so to speak, if you will. Mr. Quarterback in high school, wide receiver. He did another one. Him and Reuben Owens are the two that I'm waiting for the breakout season, and it needs to be this year. Terry Bussey came out in his fall press conference, said he has never been through a full spring and summer healthy. He has always been, and he is healthy all year long. He had a little tweak of the ankle in spring, but nothing that required serious downtime. So Terry Bussey's looking really good. I know you saw the viral catch that he made in practice the same day Cam Coleman made one. But, you know, the kid is an athletic freak. He's going to probably return kicks this year too. So, and then I'm going to tell everybody the name to watch. Keep your eye on Aaron Gregory, freshman wide receiver. This guy has been mentioned as potentially taking a starting spot away from somebody. Okay. This kid is electric. Just a name to watch. He's a true freshman, so let's, but I'm telling you, that's a watch right there. I still think Ashton Bethel Roman is your breakout star. I love our wide receiver depth, Madden Williams, all the way down through the rest of the room. I love what we have at receiver. We finally have a mixture of I'm big and tall, throw me the ball, and I'm short and fast, get it to me quick. We have that good combination that you need. So I love our wide receiver room.
Does Texas A&M pigeonhole their wide receivers, or do they let them learn all of the different wide receiver positions so they can mix and match and guys can go pretty much anywhere when it comes to running routes?
Well, I think somebody like an Isaiah Horton is pretty much set at that spot. You're not going to really run Isaiah Horton in the slot. It's just not his game. But outside of him, I mean, Craver, Roman, Bussey learns everything. You can guarantee that. Gregory's probably running with Isaiah Horton and maybe a slot. They don't pigeonhole them, though. No, you have to know multiple positions. Rob, this is the SEC, and you're going to a 9-game slate. People are going to get beat up, okay? You're going to have to take, hey, I know you're not comfortable being the X, but you've got to go be the X in this play. I know you're not comfortable being a Z, but you've got to go, and you got to be ready. So, no, A&M runs their guys. Like I said, outside of Horton, I would bet Horton probably learns one position, maybe two, but everybody else learns it all.
Yeah. We got another question for you, SEC Sean. Last year in A&M's losses, the run defense was an issue. Has the run defense been addressed, and how so?
God, I hope so. I screamed about this all last year. Not even in the losses. The Missouri game, Ahmad Hardy broke on us, and Ball had a couple of runs against us from Florida, and Bothwell from Mississippi State. We gave up chunk runs. They didn't hurt us until the Texas and Miami game. But man, Rob, I hope so. In my mind, that was our downfall last year. If our run defense played 30% better, we probably beat Texas and probably beat Miami last year, to be honest with you. I'm not throwing shots at either of those teams. Both beat us, and that's what it is. But if you take away the long runs that Texas had from the running backs and Manning, that's a whole different ball game. You take away the long runs from Fletcher that set up the end around touchdown by Tony, that's a whole different ball game too. So I trust Elko again. My faith is in Mike Elko. He's a defensive coach. I trust he looked at that defense and said, we need these type of players in the portal. And he went and got those players. Were they the flashy, splashy, top of the board position player? No. Were they good, solid, bright, nose to the grindstone football players? Yep. And that's what Elko went and got. And so I'm going to have faith that Elko's got it fixed. It's hard to say if he's got it fixed at a fall camp because you want your running backs to do well in fall camp. But from what I can understand coming out of camp, it's been kind of a push. The defense wins one day, the offense wins the next. So I'm pretty sure it's been addressed. And I'm sure we'll get to that with another question coming up later about the defense.
Yeah, we got another question from Parlay Poe. Thanks again for your question. So what effect of losing the coordinators will have? What do you think? What effect is that going to have, losing those coordinators?
I don't think losing the defensive coordinator is going to hurt near as much. I'll put it that way. I don't think either one of them hurts a lot. I think the defensive coordinator is the least of my concerns. Again, like I said, that's Elko's defense. He's gonna if it's not performing to his standards at the beginning, he'll just take the play calling over himself. Wiggins is the question, and it's everybody's. I think Wiggins is going to have more of a positive impact in my mind. The play calling side concerns me. Never done it. Does he panic if the pressure gets on? I don't think he panics. Again, he was under Saban. He knows. He's seen how a coach handles the pressure. And I think he's going to – I think it's going to be a little bit of an improvement over what Colin Klein ran as an offense by turning Marcel Reed loose a little bit more.
Yeah. We got another question from my man Postgame of Postgame Sports. Who are some much-watched players on the defense at all three levels?
Ooh, okay. That's a good question because there's a lot to choose from here. I'm going to tell you right now, there's two on the defensive line that I'm going to watch. We're not going to mention Anto Saka. Everybody knows he was the transfer that everybody's got their eye on. He looks like he's 29 years old, whatever. There's two people on the defensive line I want to mention. Number one, you know who it is because you like the kid, DJ Hicks. It's time for him to step up. He's another one. Him, Reuben Owens, Terry Bussey. You saw flashes of Hicks. Go back and watch the Notre Dame game last year. You see flashes in big moments where DJ Hicks knifes through the line and makes a tackle in the backfield. But there's no consistency to it. And Marco Jones. I'm telling you, watch Marco Jones. And I will tell everybody in the chat, go get on YouTube, look up the Texas A&M Missouri game from last year. Ahmad Hardy breaks. It's the last touchdown Missouri scored. Ahmad Hardy breaks. Marco Jones is on the opposite side of where Hardy is and tracks him down and nips his heels going across the goal line. That's a 6'5", 260-pound dude chasing down a running back. Ahmad Hardy, running back. Watch that kid. I expect huge things from him. Remember last year when we played y'all, Rob, y'all doubled and chipped Cassius Howell the whole damn game. It's the only one you had to worry about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not this year. You got two edge rushers that are elite coming at you. So those are my two on the defensive line that are my watch. I do want to mention CJ Mims. I think his maturity and experience is going to help DJ Hicks also. Linebacker, Ray Coney is brought in to plug that defense. 129 tackles at Tulsa last year. This guy has a 6% missed tackle rate for his career. So I'm hoping that helps our run defense. But the name I want to mention, I'm not going to mention Damian Samford. He's coming back from a gruesome injury in the spring game. all expectations is he should be fine. He's practicing and he looks good. But I want everybody to watch Noah McHale. That kid was a freshman last year, and he made a bunch of plays. And when Samford went down, they leaned to him in the spring game, and it's a spring game. Call it what you want. They went to him and said, you. And he immediately became a monster. He's gotten a lot more stronger, physical. And it can't hurt having somebody that he worked with last year in Torian York with his football IQ to learn from, and now Ray Coney to learn from. So Noah McHale's the one to watch there. And the back end, I'm going to give you two on the back end. Jordan Shaw. Go watch the Miami game last year with Jordan Shaw. He pretty much bottled up Malachi Toney for 3 catches, 22 yards. I get the win was a factor, but still. And I'm going to butcher this, but Tawfiq Bayard, the transfer from Colorado safety, he's going to be a huge help in the run game because he likes to come downhill. So those are Jordan Shaw, Boyd, McHale, Jones, and Hicks are my players to watch across all 3 levels. You know what you're going to get from Radcliffe. We mentioned him, Dalton Brooks. Des Ricks is going to shut down one side of the field. The question is the other side. Is Julio Humphrey go, or is it Ricky Gibson, the transfer from Tennessee? That's going to be your question there.
All right. Our man Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10 has another question for you. He said, will we see a breakout year for Terry Bussey and Ruben Owens? We talked about both of those players. We might as well throw DJ Hicks in there as well. Those 3 players, man, I know for me, I've been watching all 3 of them since we had a battle to try to get them to come to Texas. They chose to go to A&M. What's your thoughts on these guys? Will they finally break out this year?
They need to. You've seen flashes from all of them. They've all flashed, but again, consistency. I'm going to give I'll give Owens and Bussey a little bit of grace because of injuries, but DJ Hicks just hasn't performed to his level except for a handful of plays a year. That has to change. He's too much of an athletic freak. I mean, the dude is fast, strong. He has to step it up since you threw him in there. But for Moss's question with Bussey and Owens, I mean, it's time. I mean, you're the feature back at Texas A&M University, Ruben Owens. What are you going to do with it? You are you'll probably remember this guy, Anais Smith, Terry Bussey. Called him Sub-Zero. He returned. He did everything for A&M. He was the Swiss Army knife then. That's what Terry Bussey is. Can you live up to it? You're saying you're finally healthy. Great. The athletic ability is there. It's time to go ahead and show it. So I think Terry Bussey, Ruben Owens will have a breakout year. As long as both stay healthy, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't. I think they're going to be a focal point, especially Ruben Owens.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, because they've been there for quite a while, they got to be the leaders in that room right now, man. I mean, as much experience as they have, the talent that they have, the talent that the players on the team with them know they got to be some of the biggest leaders in that locker room, in my opinion. So I hope they have a fantastic year. It's just that one game I don't want them to do so well.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Terry Bussey with a couple of passes this year. He was a phenomenal quarterback at Timpson High School. Yeah. I mean, I go it's a small school, but I mean, still, Terry Bussey just needs. Yeah, I expect breakout seasons from both of them. Mossberg, yes.
Yeah. We got another question from our man Parlay Poe of the Blitzburg podcast. Thank you for your question. Looking at A&M's schedule, what's your floor and ceiling in wins and losses? How many wins you think they get? What's the floor? What's the ceiling?
My ceiling is 10-2. I don't think anybody's going undefeated in the SEC, first of all. Georgia might, maybe, but I just don't. It's hard for me to see that. 10 is my ceiling, and I think 8 is my floor, to be honest. I think 10-2 is probably the highest, and 8-4 would be the lowest I could see. I don't see them dropping more than 4 games. I just don't. So that's where I would have that. I mean, I have us 8-0 up to the open date, and then that last stretch, man. I could see 2-2 in that stretch. I could see beating South Carolina, Tennessee, lose Oklahoma, Texas. I could see lose South Carolina, beat Tennessee, lose Oklahoma, beat Texas. I just see 2-2 in that back 4 for right now.
Now, looking at that schedule, SEC Sean, y'all got 8 games before y'all's bye week. Do you like where that bye week is positioned at, or would you like to see it maybe halfway at the halfway point of the season, maybe right between Missouri and the Citadel?
Nope, I love it right where it is, because you get the starter, Missouri State. Okay, that's what all teams do nowadays. Get your little patty cake and get it out of the way. The next 2 games shouldn't be Arizona State, Kentucky. You should win those. LSU's a trick, but we've done pretty well at LSU. Arkansas, Missouri, the Citadel, Bama. If you put that open date up there, then you're going to run Citadel, Bama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas, back to back to back to back. I like it where it is, especially when you look at that last 4-game stretch. I think that open date comes perfect because Bama, they're going to play good defense and be physical. So you're going to have a couple of bruises and whatever, so you get an extra week to prepare. So I like the open date being there.
Right, all right. Well, let's go to our poll real quick. Those of you who are out there in the chat, please do our poll. Our poll is: will the Texas A&M Aggies beat the Texas Longhorns this year? If you say yes, put in a 1 in the chat. If you think no, put a 2 in the chat. We want to see how many people we can get to vote on this. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Will Texas A&M beat Texas this year? Of course, I'm going to vote on that. You know what my vote has to be. Let me even this thing up real quick.
Yeah, I mean, you knew what my vote was going to be. It has to be.
Yeah, that has to be right. So what's your prediction on that game from our man One Take Zay? He wants to know what's your prediction when Texas comes to Cal Field?
Insanity. This game has had meaning for the 2 years Texas has been in the SEC. This game has meant a lot. A&M has come up short both times. Won't deny that. I think things are going to be a little different. The first year we played Texas, I mean, that was year 1 with Jimbo. I'll give a little bit of leeway even though it was at home. Last year, I thought we were the better team last year, but again, we've mentioned it, the run defense really let us down in that game. Marcel going out for a couple of series didn't help either. When he tweaked his knee a little bit, that didn't help. The offense was pretty much dead in the rights at that point. You throw Brady Hart against that Texas defense for like his real first meaningful snaps, and that's not a good sign. So, but injuries happen. It is what it is. It's year 3. A&M gets them at home. We have a lot in our favor there. We get our bye week late. You get y'all super early. You're coming in off 8 straight SEC games. How beat up is Texas? I don't want to use it as an excuse, and I know you would never either. But I believe that A&M has to beat Texas at some point. It's going to happen. We all know that. I mean, I think everything aligns. We have the offense we need. If our defense is better, I think we'll be there. Again, y'all coming in off 8 straight, I think is going to be a plus in our favor. So if you want a prediction, I'm going to go 24-17 A&M. I think A&M's up 24-10. Texas scores late to cut it to 17. Something along those lines. I expect another hard-fought defensive game, though, because those games have been defensive for the past 2 years. It's just a couple of mistakes by that A&M defense cost them. So that's where I'd go if I was giving a prediction on the game right now.
Yeah, the thing that I really like about that game, like you mentioned before, the last 2 years, it had a lot of implications on it when that game came around. A lot was riding on it for both teams. And, of course, Texas got those 2 wins. But like you said, there were some really good, hard-fought games. Nobody was out there dominating the game. It was a lot of defensive struggle in that game. And I really feel like that's the way it's going to be going forward. I don't think anybody's ever going to blow out the other like we've seen back when they were both in the Big 12 or in the Southwest Conference. I think while both of those teams are both in the SEC, it's going to be a really competitive game. I think it's going to be a really close matchup again this year. And we're going to be sitting on the edge of our seats when that game comes about. I think this might be one of the last questions that we have before the night is over. Then we can talk about some other things. Make sure that you vote on that poll. Do you think Texas A&M will beat Texas this year? 1 for yes and 2 for no. So SEC Sean, Bama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas are A&M's last 5 games. And you mentioned a little bit earlier, what must their record be in those games to make the college football playoffs?
3-2. Again, I think we beat Bama at Bama. I think we're 8-0 at that week, and then we get a bye week. I think if we go 2-2 in the Final Four, there's no way you can leave that team out. A team that goes, I don't care if we win South Carolina and Tennessee and lose Oklahoma and Texas. You're not going to leave a team out that went to LSU and beat LSU, went to Bama and beat Bama. You're not going to leave that team out of the playoff at 2 losses. Obviously, if we were to drop South Carolina but beat Texas, that's still going to be your 2-2. And if you have a win over LSU, Bama, and Texas, I mean, tell me you're going to, I just think we have to go. Worst case scenario, we have to go 7-1 in the first 8 weeks. We have to either beat LSU or beat Bama. And then from that point forward, these last 4 have to be split. The worst we can do is 2-2 and go 9-3. That'd be the worst. And I think 9-3, if one of those 9 is an LSU team who's probably going to be pretty good, I mean, with all the NFL talent they're accumulating, they've got to be good. So if you beat an LSU team, if you beat a Texas team, and you beat a Bama somewhere or somebody else, Oklahoma even, I just think, I don't know. I just see 10-2. I've been seeing 10-2 since I saw this schedule.
All right. Well, the question we've been talking about a lot, and we some of us feel like it's possibly going to happen this year. Some of us are not quite sure. Will a 3-loss team with a strong schedule make the CFP?
Yeah. I see it coming this year. I'm one that's been saying I see a 3-loss. I see a 3-loss team getting in. Now, what 3-loss team is it? Is it a 3-loss Ohio State, like you've mentioned? Is it a 3-loss A&M? Is it a 3-loss Texas? Is it a 3-loss Bama? I mean, who's going to have the 3 losses? Ohio State has a killer schedule. We've talked about that. A&M has a pretty rough schedule itself. Texas. So who's 9-3? And man, I see it happening. I don't know who that team. I do see it happening, but I don't know who. I would make a strong case if A&M goes 9-3, we should be in strong consideration with that schedule, based on who were the losses to. We saw it last year, Rob. You can't lose to a Kentucky, or no offense to Kentucky fans, by the way, but you can't lose to Kentucky or Florida in y'all's case last year. You can't do it. You have to win those games. A loss to Oklahoma at Oklahoma doesn't sting as bad as a loss to Florida, especially as where we consider Oklahoma is going to be. So I do see a 9-3 team getting in this year, mainly because I expect there to be probably 3 or 4 9-3 SEC teams.
Do you think in the back of your mind the committee is going to be thinking about what took place last year with the teams that made it to the college football playoffs? A 3-loss team that a lot of people in the country felt like was deserving to get in there. You had a 3-loss Alabama, but of course they lost in their championship game. So really, technically, they only had 2 losses at the end of the regular season. Where those other teams that had 3 losses, they had 3 losses during the regular season. Do you think the committee is going to look at strength of schedule, maybe a little closer than what they did last year, and try to come up with the 11 best teams, even if they do have 3 losses and they got a strong schedule, as opposed to how it went last year? Because last year I really felt like they botched a lot of the rankings from the beginning, which really had a lot of us as fans up in arms about how it concluded. So do you think they're going to pay closer attention to the strength of schedule more so than they did last year because of what happened last year?
I don't know if they're going to pay attention to it more of what happened last year. What concerns me when you're putting this in the hands of the committee is name brand bias. If you have a 9-3 Ohio State, a 9-3 A&M team, a 9-3 Bama team, a 9-3 I don't know, Oklahoma team, I guess. We'll just say that. Ohio State's getting in over the rest of them. It's name brand. You can't tell me Ohio State has a tough schedule. I've already said it. You can't tell me their schedule's any tougher than an A&M schedule. So, but name brand's going to put them in. But did the committee botch it last year? Hell yes, they botched it last year. Bama should have been nowhere near that playoff. I know they beat Oklahoma in the first one. I get that. That was not a playoff team. Texas or Notre Dame should have been in the playoff over Bama. And probably over Oklahoma too, to be honest with you. But the stink of the Notre Dame schedule and all that hurt Notre Dame last year. So they looked at strength of schedule last year, but in a negative way for Notre Dame. I mean, so I don't know. I hate the committee. I honestly do. I wish it would just – we've got enough smart people in this world that somebody can come up with a formula on a computer and plug in numbers and let it spit out the best, and I'd be fine with that. I don't like the committee. There's bias there. I don't like that what's his name? Hunter Yurachek or whatever, the arc was the commissioner of it, because it looked bad when Bama got in because, oh, well, he's the commissioner. Of course Bama's good. I don't like that. Just give me the BCS rankings and let's go. That I'd be happy with that. I'd be fine with it. Now that we're at 12, I didn't like the BCS when it was at 4 or 2. I didn't like that. But with 12, give me that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Last question I got for you, and there's been a lot of talk about it. The Big Ten, they came out and said that they do not want any players coming back from the NFL trying to come back and play in the Big Ten. I think the SEC is going to drop theirs at some point. What's your feelings about that? I mean, we talked about it a little bit. We talked about it a lot in the chat. We talked a little bit about it on the last stream. What do you think the fix is for this? Do you think it's just a 1 year occurrence? Do you think we don't have to worry about it next year?
Why would I think it's a 1 year occurrence when we don't know what's going to happen from week to week anymore? They may come back and say, well, I didn't finish. I know Myles Garrett has a year left at A&M. He didn't finish 4 years at A&M, so he's got a couple of years left. So can he get waived and we bring him? Because I'll take Myles Garrett in 5 seconds. Okay. I mean, I'm sure there's some dudes out there that left Texas early that you'd be like, yeah, come on back. I don't want him back. Okay. I don't want any of them back. I don't want Johnny Manziel back. You don't want Vince Young back. These guys left. They're done. You've got guys that are coming to LSU that have sacks in a preseason game in the NFL. This is not right. The SEC had a video conference with the chancellors and presidents Friday night. They're all in Birmingham, Alabama right now, along with the athletic directors from all 16 universities having meetings. Now, these meetings were scheduled already. This wasn't like an emergency, get on a plane and get here meeting. But I guarantee you this is the topic. And I'm going to be shocked if by the end of tomorrow, we don't hear the SEC come out and mimic what the Big Ten said. And mimic's a bad word because it sounds childish, but it's not what I meant. And say, no, they're not eligible. Lane Kiffin has come out and said, how can they tell us what when a judge says it's legal? The conference has the power. These schools, and I'm not speaking on Big Ten, these SEC schools sign contracts with the SEC. They have a contract with them that's laid out. If the SEC amends their rules by a unanimous vote that NFL players are not allowed on rosters, there's nothing a judge can say about it, because think about it as the SEC is its own private business. And they're looking out for the interest of their business. I expect the SEC to come out and say the same thing, and I would almost guarantee you that the Big 12 and ACC will follow. Because the SEC and the Big 10 are the power brokers in this, and we all know that. So I fully believe, but you're getting mixed reviews from coaches. Dan Lanning comes out and said, no, they shouldn't be eligible. Ryan Day says, I'll take what I can get to make my team the best. So you're telling me Ryan Day and Lane Kiffin are in the same boat? That's a odd couple right there. But I don't like it. I don't think anybody I know likes it. I think it's stupid. Just get out of here. You said you were going to the NFL. You're gone. You're done. That's my take on
it. Should there be a caveat to a team to a player who had played 4 years? Now we got this 5-year to play rule. Is there any caveat to somebody being able to come on? Like for instance, Cole Hudson didn't make an NFL roster. He's back on Texas's team for whatever reason. Do you think there's a caveat because he didn't sign a contract with the NFL, he didn't play in any preseason games, that he should be allowed to come back? Or is there any other situation like that you think the guy should be able to come back and play a 5th year after declaring for the NFL draft or having to go to the NFL draft because his 4 years of play was up?
Well, if y'all can see the gray, that'll tell you all you need to know about where I'm coming on this. I'm of the old school stance that kind of what used to be in the NBA. I'll use that as an example. When you declared for the draft and if you got an agent or whatever, you were done. Your eligibility ended right then. I mean, Hudson didn't get drafted, okay? I get that. He didn't make a roster as an undrafted free agent. I get that. His intent was to leave to go pro, though. Mm-hmm. So go continue your workouts, go to the Canadian Football League, go to Europe and play, go do something else, but you're not coming back here. Now, what's going to happen if the SEC says players aren't eligible? Does he have to leave the roster? I don't know because he's already there. But to me, you can't say he can stay, but he can't come. So if the SEC says no former NFL players or whatever, I think Hudson has to go because he did declare for the draft and go to the draft. It just so happens that, no offense to him or his parents, but he wasn't good enough to make an NFL roster. I'm sorry. So I don't think there's a caveat for players that didn't get drafted versus those that went undrafted free agents. Because, I mean, what's to say we couldn't bring Le'Veon Moss back? He got undrafted free agent to the Dolphins, but then retired because of, medical stuff or whatever. But he didn't go. He didn't play. So we could bring him back technically. But I don't like it. I don't agree with it. Something's got to get done soon. I still say, as much as I don't want it, I think we're getting near the edge where the SEC is going to say, screw it, we're off and we're on our own. We'll make our rules to where NFL players can't play. Maybe the Big Ten joins and they do form their super conference. I don't know. But it's getting to be where the SEC is going to go do their own thing, I think. They're just tired of all the BS. Every other day there's an injunction of some sort for somebody to get some eligibility back. I mean, Joey Aguilar almost got eligibility at Tennessee for his 8th year. Pavia is trying to get his 7th year. What are we doing? And if I'm a coach, if you leave and go, and I said it the other day, if I come and I'm on the roster at Texas A&M as a defensive end and Myles Garrett comes back and all of a sudden I'm not a starter anymore, I'm a backup bench player, I'm going to be a little pissed off that I went through all of this camp for nothing. So I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the caveat. The Cole Hudson thing is tricky because he was there before all this went down, so we're waiting to see. But I fully expect that if the SEC does this, Texas is going to have to get him off the roster. I really think so.
Yeah, I think so too. Because you really haven't heard a whole lot about Cole Hudson, really in the interviews and the shows that I've watched. You really haven't. His name is mentioned, but you don't really hear about him in rotation with those other linemen. I haven't heard his name. So I'm all for him not being on the team too. I mean, your time was up. Let these other guys play. Don't take no space or time away from them. Even if somebody gets injured, I'm still not going to be in favor of Cole Hudson being able to be on the team. I think his time is up. Go to the Canadian Football League or wherever. But SEC, Sean, I appreciate you doing. Oh, go ahead.
Let me run a couple things by you real quick. I'm going to make a statement, and then I got a question for you, and then I'm going to leave a question for the fans. Last year, Texas A&M went 11-1 with a -9 turnover ratio. If we can just make that even, we could see an 11-1. If you turn the ball over -9 times throughout a season and you go 11-1, if you can flip that script to 0, just be even, you're going to win a couple more games. So I just want to leave that out there. I thought it was a weird stat when I looked that up. I was like, -9? Ugh. So that. But I got one question for you as A&M and a Texas fan. What is your biggest concern facing Texas A&M in Kyle Field this year?
Probably those 3 wide receivers. I'm a little bit leery and scared of Bethel Roman in the slot with that speed, especially if we don't necessarily have that cover safety that we need to have, because I don't know if we got a guy back there yet. Outside of Kobe Black is probably the best cover safety. I don't know what Jonah Williams is going to be yet because, I mean, he's been coming off that injury. Really, really talented guy, but I don't know if he's where he needs to be yet. That's what scares me the most. I think we're going to be good against A&M against the run. It's just when you throw out those 3 wide receivers that you mentioned, those are the guys that scare me the most. And even though Grayson Littleton might start off in that slot position, he's going to have his work cut out for him against Bethel Roma for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of what I figured your answer was going to be. Either your answer was going to be the wide receivers or I'm not scared of anything, but I figured you were going to.
I ain't saying that.
And then before we get out, just something for the fans that are tuning in or catch us on the replay, drop in the comments. Give me your schedule for A&M. Give me your record prediction for Texas A&M. And I'll throw it up on the screen one more time real quick for everybody just at the end here. Drop it in the comments. Give us your record prediction for Texas A&M and where do you think they'll finish. And then don't forget to check out the poll that's down there. So drop that in the comments and we'll respond to anything we see with y'all say. And, really just all I wanted to show everybody and mention that.
All right, SEC Shine, I appreciate you. We'll be back again on Thursday for the Texas Longhorns preview. So make sure you tune in and check us out because, the Longhorns going to be rocking on Thursday. Appreciate you, bro. I'll talk to you
soon. Yeah, appreciate you, Rob. All right.
All right.
Bye.
All right, peace.